Hello, hello everyone. Welcome in, welcome in. It's nice to see all of you. How are you all doing tonight? Well, yeah, it's technically nighttime, but it's bright here. It's like 9:15, but it still looks very bright and not sunny. He has returned to Dan. Hello, Puaru. How are you? Thank you for the stretch and hydrate. I took the hydrate before I started, so I had a little sippy or something. It's already dark here, 11 p.m. Ah, I see. I think it's still kind of like at the height of our summer. It can get into like 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. and it will still kind of be bright. A little bit. A morgue class has a new freshie. What? What does that mean? What does that mean? That sounds very... A morgue class has a new freshie. That sounds kind of scary. A body, oh no. That's what I thought you were saying. Do you... Oh wait, yeah, you do like... morgue stuff. Right? Oh, I don't know if you were working on fresh. I don't know if I could do stuff like that. I think I'd be very squeamish. I've watched like videos of surgeries and stuff being done. It's like, oh my god. They're just like moving those guts around. They're just moving the things around and they're not... How the hell do they do that stuff? Ugh. It's actually crazy. We all were too excited to be considered normal people. I agree. If your initial reaction to seeing a fresh corpse is, oh, I can't wait to look inside of it, I can't wait to work on it, then maybe, just maybe, you're not normal. I would consider that slightly outside of the realm of normality. I will say hello, Sari. Hello, Puaru. I think maybe because I started stream a little bit earlier than usual, some people may not have trickled in yet. So I'm sure we'll see the names pop up here and there as we go on. Yeah, I do really like the summer. I love like... Sorry, I like the long days of summer. I think it's always really cool when I look out at like 10, 11 p.m. and it's still nice and bright, relatively anyway. I don't like the heat, but don't worry, we're not going to talk about the heat for like 20, 30 minutes like we did last time. It's been a lot nicer today. It's even been a few very light showers and kind of actual wind. So yeah, it hasn't been disgusting at least. But I remember talking to Daya last summer. You had a guy with cirrhosis. Well, hang on, let me look what this up. Let me look what this is. Is advanced scarring of the liver caused by chronic diseases like hepatitis or alcohol abuse? Oh, uh-oh. He turned very, very yellow, and I and one more student said in unison, I want to look at the yellow too. Oh, that's kind of cute. That's kind of cute in a very morbid way. Is it like doctor? Why is it suddenly really foggy? What the hell? Is it smoke? Wait, let me check something real quick. Excuse me a moment, there's suddenly just a load of smoke outside, so I'm gonna go check something. Hang on, I'm back. That's weird. I think it's just like from somewhere else, and it's just kind of traveling here. It's kind of a whitish smoke. That's really odd. Sorry, I'm like kind of just watching this because, like, it's everywhere. I can see it moving across. It must be coming from an angle that I can't see through. Huh. Hello, Casey. It's nice to see you. Didn't know stream was happening today. As I said, Casey, I just kind of stream whenever. Be careful. You're just on practice. I see. Actually, alright, I actually have to go anyway. Cam came here for a streak. Enjoy the reading. You're watching VODs. That's fair, poor Arrow. Enjoy whatever you're doing. Whether you're sleeping or something. Is the Morrowind VOD up? It is. I actually completely forgot to upload it earlier. When I ended stream. I did it earlier today, so it's up now, thankfully. That's okay though. That's weird. Sorry, for those of you who have just joined, there's like a lot of smoke outside. So I'm just kind of like watching this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone burning stuff kind of far away, and the smoke's just kind of being carried to here. When the reading starts, can you turn the music off? I will. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think the fire and stuff is nicer than before. I think I need to search out for better music. Not to say Genzuki's piano playing isn't bad, but like he's kind of just doing whatever he wants, and some of it doesn't have the right vibe for what I would like on the stream. But it is very nice. I've often fallen asleep to Genzuki's ASMR. I like this part. I like doon 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 doon. No, don't pinch me, Casey. Don't pinch me. Oh, there's a plane. There's a plane. I wonder, can the plane see the smoke? That'd be very interesting. Like, how much smoke do you need on the ground for you to be able to see it? Would they be able to look down and be like, oh yeah, there's something going on there? They can probably see, if they're looking out, they can probably see like where that's coming from actually. They'd see it rising. Maybe someone's like, I don't know what it is. But I feel like it's probably like a farmer a bit away burning some stuff, like a decent bit away. Next Morrowind stream, whenever I feel like it. Whenever I feel like playing Morrowind. That's pretty much it. Interesting. Oh. Uh-oh. I hear sirens. I hear sirens now. Are they coming towards us? They sound like they're coming towards us. If they get closer, then I'll know that it's not like just a farmer burning things. It's like actually something else. Guess which dipshit forgot to take their laundry in and just got caught in a downpour? Oh no, Ibis, did you get caught in some heavy rain? Oh no, oh no. Oh, poor Ibis. Oh, that's the worst. The panic running out, trying to get things down off the line. You're like getting pelted in the face. You're trying to get certain clothes off that you want dry in the morning or something. Oh, I hope you got things in before they were drenched though. It's always the worst. It was raining on and off today. Yeah, same here. It was coming down now and then. I was out walking / running at points, and it was really nice because it's still like slightly warm. There's a nice breeze there, but the rain was quite nice to just cool down. We're getting a thunderstorm tonight, apparently. Are we? I didn't. Let me look it up real quick. Are we getting a thunderstorm? I don't know if... maybe. It looks like it may come over. I like thunderstorms though, they're cool. I like seeing the flashes in the sky. Being up high, being up high in a thunderstorm, like obviously not where you're in danger, when you're still nice and cozy inside, but like when you can see out over places is really cool, because you can see like the arc from the top of the sky down into like really far. It's really cool. I don't know if I'd ever want to experience being in like a proper storm though, like the type of storms they get over in America, you know, like their type 3, type 4 fucking hurricanes. Definitely not tornadoes. I don't want to deal with a tornado. I have not fun. Yeah, I can't imagine it is. I can't imagine being in like an actual dangerous hurricane, experiencing one of the most powerful things that the earth can just create out of its wind. Is very fun. Worst is desert dust storms. Air turns into sandpaper. That sounds horrible. You know what? No. I've experienced that on a very light level. And what I mean by that is I've been walking through like sand dunes and stuff on like windy days, and like the wind, the sand is blowing into your face and it's rubbing against your face and maybe going into your eyes here and there. But to imagine being in like a proper like dust storm. Ugh. You'll try and stay for the full reading as it relaxes. You good to hear, Casey. Good to hear. Not the worst though. The cicada storm that Vegas got years ago. That was actual hell and it lasted weeks. Wait a minute. Are you telling me like a cicada storm, like the animals, the bugs, the cicadas, they come in and they eat everything, and there's like literally millions and millions of them. Hello, Lassalot. Welcome in. Who's the snail? You've missed a new character introduction. Oh dear, I'm so far behind. Are you really behind on chatting? Is that it? Or are you like, sorry, like not just lower, but like behind in stream? Who knows? But these snails were kindly gifted to us by a viewer, by Kaleido. And they are to represent the 4 snails that I once crushed one day in one night in a horrific accident. In a horrific accident. In quick succession. I'd say it was about... I've told this story before, Lassalot. You know the story of the snails. Do I have my YouTube running? I do. Good. But yeah, it's them. You can see they all have halos. The one at the top has wings. Yeah, I don't know if you can see all the other of them. One of them really stands out on the rock. Then there's the one on the tree bark, there's the one on the lower branches, and the one on the middle branches. It's like they're ascending to heaven. Although they already have their halos. I just heard you read that message out now. Oh my god. You are very far behind. Sir, please refresh your stream. Refresh your stream and try and catch up. Vegas gets swarms of billions of insects. Billions of insects every year, every few years. Cicadas and grasshoppers are the worst because you end up getting a surge in deadly scorpions who feed on them. Oh my... I thought that like just being in cicada land would be bad enough. I didn't realize it leads to an influx of deadly scorpions. That sounds horrible. God, imagine being caught in that. Imagine being caught in like a cicada storm where they're like flying at you. Like they're just like hundreds of them just crashing into you. Your first apartment in Vegas got condemned because of a scorpion hive living in its foundation. Wait, scorpions live in hives? What? I didn't know this. Scorpion hive. Oh, no, that's a beehive. Huh? If scorpions live in hives, if they can, if some of them, it's kind of scary. A hive is a term for any insect burrows which are inside of... Oh, I see. I was picturing like maybe like a gang of like 30 or 40 of them just hanging out together. Hello, Lila. Welcome in, welcome in. It's nice to see you. How are you? I have good news, by the way, everyone. Tomorrow I should be getting a brand new mic arm. So I'll no longer be like dropping you guys or like complaining about it. Tired? Oh, I'm sorry, Lila. I'm a bit tired too. I'm a bit tired too. Now that you said it, I like feel it. That's okay. I'll wake up in a moment. Over 100 apparently. Oh my god, no. I don't think I've ever... I think I've seen scorpions in like pet shops, but I've never seen a wild one. Last day to get drop us in the trigger requests. Your back and waist hurts. Oh, were you doing like a lot of walking or like lifting stuff? That's often the case. Do your best to stretch if you have like a roller or something. Definitely spend a bit of time on that. I always find that I feel a bit better when I roll out. I really mine's a little bit my back is a little bit fatigued. What are cicadas? Cicadas are a type of insect basically. What are their they're really loud, aren't they, as well? They're really loud. They're like am I thinking? Yeah, I think I'm thinking of the right thing. They make a load of noise. You know when you get those like shots of like America, like the country of America, and they have those loud insect noises. It's often those guys. What are their larvae? They're just like insects. Swarm every 17 years, or is a specific type? Imagine the sound of a Japanese countryside. That type of cicada. You can hear them for over 1 kilometer. That's crazy. You have weird bones. You can do nothing against it. Oh no. Lila, you're that guy from SpongeBob. You're the guy from SpongeBob who tricked SpongeBob and Patrick with his bones were made of glass and his flesh of paper. And every day he breaks all his bones. That's such a funny bit. I remember I saw a very funny video of a dog. The owner could hear, like, you could hear the cicada, and the owner is just looking at the dog and being like, drop it. And he's just looking at her. And drop it. And his mouth is welded shut. He does not want to open up his mouth. He is clamped down on that thing. And then she starts wrestling with him, and she finally gets it out of his mouth, and it's just like a big ass cicada. Obviously he grabbed it and then just held it in there and was like, this is interesting. This is an interesting sensation of this bug making this vibration in my mouth. Except for one thing, go to someone who literally break your back so I can go back into the original pose. Ah, I see. I want to go for a massage soon. I want to do that. I should do when it's kind of like nice. I should go do that because it will be a nice treat to myself. It'll be a nice treat. I'm happy though. Today, this weekend, I have a 4-day weekend. So I'll have tomorrow off. And ever got your spine broken? Nope, I have never broken my spine. I've had a good massage though. That was quite nice. So I'll have Friday and Monday off, which will be very nice. Into hell and back. I've fucked a part of my spine a little bit though. Pretty sure I bulged a disc like 2 years ago, and I'm still paying for it a little bit. Well, a lot of it at times, but it is what it is. Can't do much about it. I should go to a physio again about it. Why did you stick it in your back though? Don't fuck it. Wait, I didn't stick anything in my back. I bulged a disc is what I'm saying. What did I didn't stick anything in my back. You said you fucked your spine. Don't do that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just decide my body fixes itself. There was a lot of emphasis on I fucked there. Oh, sorry. I get the joke now. Sorry. I was dumb. I was dumb. No, I didn't catch the joke you were making. I'm a silly Billy. I'm a silly Billy. Okay, it looks like the smoke stopped outside, so that's good. Whatever was burning has subsided. Hopefully. Don't poke me in the face. The fuck? How dare you? Bastard. Get him. Kill him. Lila, kill. You have permission. Everyone has permission to kill Lancelot. Silly Ruas get poked. There's quite literally a fire behind you. No. Outside, like further away, there was a load of smoke there like 10 minutes ago. And I was like confused. And it hurt badly both times. Wait, what did I miss? I think, did you, oh wait, oh there we go. You strained your leg twice and it hurt badly both times. Komm her, du kleines Essenkind. Understood, I won't translate it. Outside of this beautiful forest. Yeah, further away. Further away there was someone burning stuff. I hope you enjoyed my pronunciation, by the way. Come here, you didn't need to... Don't translate it. Okay, I'll translate it. Come here, you little donkey child. That's very smart. I like that phrase. We do call people donkeys in Ireland. We do call people donkeys in Ireland. If you're acting the maggot, if you're being an idiot, you'll call someone a donkey. You donkey. What are you doing? Why'd you do that, you donkey? That type of way. That type of way. I think it's a very fun term. I think it's a very good term. Oh. You know what? That's a good idea. I'm gonna mute that before something gets in my way. There we go. Love you though, Laffy. Ha. I had a good day in the stock markets today. I'm not a trader. I'm an investor. So I pick something and I at least hold it for a decent amount of time. And things went kind of good today. Now it's pretty much one stock that was going really well. There's a chance that it just immediately pulls back tomorrow or like something happens, but there's also a chance that it just keeps going up a bit. So hell yeah. The city you're in is fond of the term gobshite instead, as opposed to donkey. I like donkey. I think donkey is a good one. I prefer that over gobshite. Today is a dry day for real. It is a bit of a dry day. Well, no, it was raining earlier. But it was only spitting. It was just like spitting a little bit. Zan, hello Zan. Thank you for the head pat. Thank you. Wow. Yeah, no, I just checked like my overall from this one thing. Wow, my overall position is up 10, like almost 10%. Not even like that one stock, just the overall. Oh, wow. That was a good day. Not that dry, metally dry. Ugh. Oh, you know, another thing that I do like is during summer is how like the sun looks, or like sunsets and stuff. Because the days are so clear, you get to see like lovely red skies and stuff, or like whatever color happens along that day. It's very nice. Your shit went up 105%. I'm happy, I think. I would be happy if that was me. I would like 105% increase on something. That would be quite nice. The main issue with investing in Ireland is how, like, just unnecessarily terrible the investment rules are. Well, or like the capital gains taxes are. When did Ireland change? When did Ireland adopt the euro? When was that again? That was 1999, 2000. Yeah, so yeah. It was a political strategic move, to be honest. Not quite happy, but money. I see. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So the tax-free rate, or the capital gains free portion, which is the amount of capital gains you're allowed to make, capital profits, before being taxed in a year on it, is €1,270, if I remember correctly. Yes, 1270. That was decided like 25 years ago when Ireland translated the Irish punt to the euro, on taking on the euro, and it has not moved since. It has not moved a lick since. They have not increased it. They've only recently slightly reduced the ridiculous 41% tax on ETFs for no reason. I don't know. Never mind the 8-year deemed disposal rule, which just makes price averaging impossible. Regular investing. Sorry, this is something that I think about from time to time, and it shocks me how terrible it is to try and invest in Ireland a lot of the time. It's like almost impossible to build wealth with the way they do it. Because to explain, the main thing that makes it so awkward, never mind the high tax rate on ETFs for no reason at all. They're just another is what was I going to say? Okay, sorry, that's it. The deemed disposal rule. What deemed disposal is in Ireland, when you buy an ETF, in 8 years' time, they're going to treat it as if you disposed of it for tax purposes. So whatever gain you made in 8 years' time, you are now liable for that gain. But the issue is, when it comes to things like ETFs, a common way people invest into them is they'll invest a little over a long time. Kind of like pensions. They'll invest maybe 100 here, 100 every week or something, if they can. But what ends up happening is every single transaction has to be tracked for deemed disposal purposes. And it makes regular investing in ETFs almost impossible. Now, I think they're going to get rid of it in the next couple of years. Hopefully they backdate it so that anyone who is already invested while it was still a thing, like, they are making some adjustments to it, but I'm not holding my breath. Well, I kind of am, because I'm invested in an ETF a little bit, so they better. But I didn't do like small amounts here and there. I did like mainly a large portion, and that was like 2 or 3 large investments into the ETF. In terms of how you'd invest that way. Your private rent investment went up 5.24. You cannot give out any more money from now on until 1506. I see. Oh yeah, the sky has like a nice orange color tonight. It's very pretty. I'm sorry for boring you guys about capital gains and investment talk, but this is ASMR technically. It's technically meant to be ASMR, so I can talk about it. You have a shit ton of money laying around in a separate bank. Good for you, Lila. I'm glad you're comfortable in that way. I'm glad you're comfortable in that way. There we go. In 36 years, I can reach for it. Ah, I see, I see. Is it like a pension thing? Or like, 36 years is a long time. I mean, there's a lot of... I mean, the pensions are just kind of a usual thing. I hope it's just not like just sitting there in a bank account. I hope you're allowed to use it for things like... It's for building a house. Ah, I see, I see. Okay, cool, cool. I hope you get to build the biggest, most comfortablest house that you ever wish. Because everyone deserves some place to... You will not live in it. Well, regardless, I hope you build it as best you can. I think we may get into the reading now. We've had about 30 minutes of chatting. So I think getting into the reading would be good. Hello, Fantasy. Welcome in, welcome in. How are you? It's nice to see you. Let me... We're just about to get into our reading for today. And we were getting into reading equals eepin. For you guys, yeah. You guys get to eep. We will set it up. Let me do this because... how do I do this? Because I don't want to turn on the light yet. Because you really don't need to. Don't want to... Okay, you know what? No, I can read like this. I can read like this. How are you? I'm good, Fantasy. I'm a bit tired. It's the end of the work week for me, thankfully, because I have a day off tomorrow. But a bit of a busy day. So, and a long time in the gym too, which was nice. I enjoyed it. So I'm kind of getting ready for some chilling out. Friday. Yeah, Friday off. That's good. You'll be able to rest afterwards. Exactly. And that's kind of why I did an early stream a little bit, because I'm like, I want to finish up and be able to just chill out and go and get a good night's sleep, because I need one. Anyway, we're going to return to our book, and when we last left off, we were reading about the treaty that Brian signed with Mael Shock Nail, where they both kind of recognized each other as sort of semi-king, both kind of dual kings of Ireland. And how eventually, slowly, that began to break down. We read about how in a interesting twist of fate, where that the north of Ireland did better in defending off and not allowing the Vikings to establish permanent cities or permanent hideouts or alcoves that eventually became large cities in those regions, but rather they were more successful down in the south with Dublin, Waterford, Limerick, Cork. When Brian Boru became effectively overking of Leith Moga, the south of Ireland, during the treaty, he eventually, over time, over a few years, established dominance over there and was able to bring those under his heel, and allowed him, of course, to access the wealth of those cities. And that's a big factor, really, probably, in his ability to wage war. Never mind the Viking soldiers that you get from that as well, with their water abilities, their ship sailing abilities. That's the word I was looking for. But now we get on to Brian as King of Ireland. What an extraordinary transformation in his fortunes Brian McKennedy had effected over the preceding quarter of a century, since he had been propelled from near anonymity by the murder in his prime of his older brother Matt Gamon. The annals of the Four Masters say that it was in his 76th year at that time. Because they believed him to have been born in the mid-920s, but as we have seen, it is more likely that he had only recently turned 60. Whichever is true, he showed the most extraordinary drive for his years. The annals tell us that the great national army Brian led to Dún Delca in 1002 included the men of Munster and Leinster and the north of Dublin and Waterford, joined now by his new subordinates, the men of Connacht and the men of Meath, under Mael Shocknail's personal command. Presumably the Norse of Limerick were there too, but now they were considered a natural constituent of Brian's own forces and do not get separate billing. And remember, just before this, we had read about how Mael Shocknail had effectively surrendered the High Kingship of Ireland to Brian Boru. He realised the way the tides were turning, and that he couldn't do anything about it. He had to surrender. Their decision to converge on Dún Delca is striking, bearing in mind that the annals of Inishfallen describe it as a manoeuvre against the Ulaid to take their hostages. Oh, apologies, I actually completely forgot about that. Sorry, Casey. That was actually my fault. I forgot to turn it off. Sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes the BGM for a streamer sort of fades out. Like you're hearing it so much. Book asset. Good point. I also forget that a lot. Usually it'll be like I'm 10 pages in and I'll realize. This is because Dún Delca was anciently associated with Cú Chulainn, whose role in single-handedly defending Ulster from Maeve's invading army of Connacht is at the core of the epic tale Táin Bacúla, the cattle raid of Cooley, which was rapidly acquiring the status of a national epic. Dún Delca therefore guarded the very entrance into the kingdom of the Ulstermen, the Ulaid, and it was quite possibly that Brian's decision to make it the destination of his grand excursion was not just because it was the traditional route northwards into Ulster, but was a self-conscious manipulation of the site's epic association. Hello, son. I can't believe Ruadh used the IRA's weather control machine to boil the entirety of England. Truly a menace. Where will his malice end? I'm sorry, son. I had to do it. We needed to. For the funnies. For the funnies. Hello, Rory. You're super golfing. Thank you for the lurk. Enjoy your golfing. You're about to get in your bin. You can enjoy your bin, mate. You can fill it up with water. You can get in. You can have a nice little cooling bin bath. In the heat. It's your bin. You can do what you want with it. It is not clear whether we should envisage two There came towards Dún Delca the Dalfiatuk king of Ulaid, Écid mac Argyle, and Aed Ul Aid Uanail of Aelach, called by the Four Masters Rig Domna Éireann, to show that he was now Brian's chief contender for the high kingship, although with the latter's Cineal known followers from County Derry and Tyrone, as well as Cineal Conall of County Donegal and the Arigiala of Mid-Ulster. It is not clear whether we should envisage two hostile armies facing each other at Dún Delca across a potential battlefield, or a high-powered conference between kings meeting to trash out a new beginning in this age of Brian. All sources state that Brian sought hostages from Aed and Écid in acknowledgement of his overlordship, the Coga adding what goes unsaid in the annals, that otherwise war would be proclaimed against them if they would not give them. A threat under which they refused to buckle. There must have been some kind of stalemate, because the annals are clear that the northern kings did not permit them to advance further. Conor legistar Sheikh Shin. But all sources are agreed that the two sides parted ways under a truce, Brian having failed, however, to secure hostages or sureties. Cor scarsut for usa, ken goil ken eteri. I can do what I want. It's my bin. Can't I enjoy a swim in a cocktail in my bin? I love that video. Perhaps, too, there's something in the Koga's insistence that the terms of the truce gave the northern kings a year in which to decide whether to opt for war or give hostages, during which time they undertook not to attack Mael Shocknail or the Connachtmen. The Dúndelka expedition came in the latter part of 1002. A year's truce would explain why the annals record no action by Brian in regard to the north in 1003. The only notice of his actions in Leinster, where he deposed its king, Donca, son of Donal Clohan, and set up in his place Mael Muda of Ua Felon, on whom Brian bestowed the hostages of Leinster as a sign of his new lordship. The leisure centre? The leisure centre. Oh, I should go to one soon. I should go for a swim. That would be nice. The Koga then goes on to state, a great expedition of all the men of Ireland, both Irish and foreigners, of all who were from Sliabh Fuath in South Armagh, southward, was made by Brian in the end of a year, after that against the Uloid, and he took the hostages of all Uloid since Ide Uanail of Ailloch failed to give him battle. The implication here seems to be that, as Ide Uanail claimed to be Overking of all the North, and entitled therefore to the Uloid's hostages, the onus was on him, when the year's truce had expired, to resist Brian's overtures on the field of battle or to accept the consequences. His failure to meet the challenge meant that the Munster king could claim the hostages of Uloid, and these Brian now obtained. Have you seen the recent Centauri Chan fad meme where you have to translate the image in a different language? I have not seen that. I apologize. I haven't seen this meme. I know who Centauri Chan is, but I don't know that specific one. If this account is true, Brian obtained the hostages of the ancient kingdom of Uloid, probably at some point in the latter half of 1003. The problem is that it is not recorded in the surviving annals, which, it must be admitted, had very little to say about anything in 1003. This is another of those instances where the Koga's version of events cannot be proven, but rather seem credible. Hello, Vortis, it's nice to see you. If the account is true, I read this. And there are one or two reasons for giving credence to its account. For one thing, in the following year, 1004, Brian headed north again. If he had not already received the anticipated submission of the Uloid, he would doubtless have come knocking again. Instead of heading to the north-east, however, he and Mael Shocknail led a great army up into northern Connacht, reaching as far as Treig O'Coil, the strand of the Trátheli, on Ballysadair Bay, County Sligo, where they obviously halted before attempting a crossing of the famous ford at Eastara, from which Ballysadair gets its name, which would take them into Uanail territory. Indeed, the annals report that they intended to go around Ireland, but the Kinneal no one had word of their plans, mustered an army, and prevented them crossing any further. And another reason for thinking that the Koga may actually be correct is suggesting that Brian secured the hostages of the Uloid from under the nose of Ide Uanail in 1003, is that within months Ide went to war with Uloid. His invasion culminated in the devastating Battle of Craig Tulcha, near Glenveigh, County Antrim. Presumably this site was chosen because of its symbolism, being the inauguration place where Eachwyd and his ancestors had been made kings of Dal Fiatach. It was considered a victory for Ide Uanail's army of Kinneal Noan, because the Uloid were slaughtered in their droves and their king, Eachwyd Mac Argoil, was slain. But in the counter-attack, Ide himself, a rising star on the political scene, still only in his late 20s, lost his life. Thank you very much. Wait, hang on. Thank you very much, J. Ishim, for the follow. Very kind of you. And hello, King Grey VT. This guy reads. That I do. We read a few books before. Let me see what that is. J is him. Oh. I see, I see. That makes way more sense. J is him, not J Isham, or whatever I was reading that as. And then it's followed by. So let me take a quick look. Me minding my own business. The two Chinese translators that are always in my comments. I can't. Wait. For some reason, that's like not safe or worked, so I can't look at it. Inshallah, brother. Yes, J J Inshallah. That'd be a very funny name to have. Just on Twitch. That's just how you go for. No, Casey, don't pinch me. Not in front of the new people. Get off of me. No. No. No, 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 no. Anyway. Hello, Marianne. It's nice to see you. How you doing? Son, you might like this part. Imperator Scotorum. The Battle of Craib Tulka was a traumatic affair. Keneal Noan had to find new leadership, and it emerged in the person of Ido Nail's nephew, Flabatok. How would I pronounce his name? Flabatok, who in time would marry Brian's daughter, Babine, or Beebin. As Fruloid, it descended into a bloodbath at the princes of Dal Fiatok, the dynasty that tended to monopolize the overkingship, butchered each other for the chance to win the prize, while having to make war on their jealous rivals of Dal Nardi. Whatever relationships Brian had been building up with the northern kings on the eve of Craib Tulka, they were set at naught. Flea Buttock, such barbarity. Literally, son, it's spelt Flaithbeortachh. I don't know how to pronounce this. This is a name that you would never see these days. Flabertok. Flabertok. Something like that. That's probably not how you pronounce it at all, though. Hang on, let me sit forward a little, and so I can sit back. So I'll turn this. Perfect. Okay, hang on. I apologize, I have returned. There was a Nordic-themed manga in Weekly Shonen Jump recently that featured a whole bunch of unpronounceable names. Maybe that's why it got axed. Oh no. Oh, I wonder how that translates over to Japanese. Do they just like do their best to put it into their sounds? And does it still come off really difficult? Where were we? We were here. Still, the instability must have undermined the North's ability to withstand Brian's demands. Therefore, in 1005, he set out on a grand expedition to the north. The four masters, still rather damning in their faint praise, said that he led the men of the south of Ireland. But other annals have it as an army of Ireland, and the annals of Ulster say that Brian travelled in the company of the royalty of Ireland, Córiagrid Éireann Ima. This source, on the other hand, says nothing of the political objectives of the campaign, which the Four Masters and Chronicon Scriptorum record as being the... How do I see? I sneezed. Okay, I'm good now again. Ugh. Which the Four Masters and Chronicon Scriptorum record as being to take the hostages of the new kings of Uloid and the Keneal Noan. The annals of Inishfallen have instead Keneal Noan and Keneal Conail. The army headed first for Tale 2 in County Meath, where we are told Brian stayed for a night. The point of this was undoubtedly to exploit the significance of the site, that of the ancient Oonok of the kings of Tara. From there, Brian marched north to Armagh, and the annals of Inishfallen tell us that he camped at Éamon Macha, unless they are talking about a second northern campaign that year, as their account of the year 1005 twice mentions preambulations to Armagh, the second one suspects, a duplicate of the first. Éamon Macha, the Navan fort, is about 3 kilometres to the west of the pre-martial city, and undoubtedly the establishment of Brian's temporary royal headquarters. There was another attempt to milk symbolism for all that it was worth. In Irish literary tradition, Éamon Macha was the capital of Cahor mac Nessa's kingdom of the Uloid, whose heroic deeds are remembered in the Ulster cycle, of which the Táin is the best known tale. We do not know if King Cahor was a real person, or whether Éamon Macha, long since deserted by Brian's day, had ever been a royal fortress, as opposed to a place of prehistoric religious ceremony. But Brian undoubtedly believed that Éamon Macha formerly held great political significance for the Ulstermen, and pitched his royal camp there in 1005 to let the men of the north know who was boss, and to make the point that he was king in the mould of the kings of yore. The main character was the most comprehensible. His name was Otter. Other characters were Filja, Etopirko, Aljolki, Yggdrasil, and Surld. I see. I hope I did a good job. Please explain the snails to me. I kind of don't want to, because it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to think that no one knows what the snails are about. But the 4 snails were drawn by a viewer of the channel, Kaleido. And it's a reference to the time... One time I was walking home from a place. So I was coming out and I was walking along the driveway. I was walking home and it was nighttime. And as I walk, I'm kind of like, there's a car in the driveway, so I'm kind of over to the side where the concrete meets the grass. I'm walking along, I'm kind of skirting out, and I feel that dreaded crunch beneath my foot. I feel the dreaded... That's not what it's more of a... You know the crunch of a snail on their foot. And I'm like, oh no, I feel so bad. So I take like a step and then another step, and I go to turn around to look down at the snail to see what I've done, what horrible act I've done, and I feel another crunch under my boot, and I'm like, no, wait, no, stop, and I take like 2 quick steps back, and I feel another crunch under my boot, and I finally take one big jump, and I'm out of the driveway at this point, but I'm like staring down at this massacre of 3 little snails. Of 3 snails that were just like eviscerated. I killed like a snail family. They're destroyed on the ground, and I feel terrible. I'm there. I like genuinely. I feel horrible. I feel so sad. And then after like a minute, I would say, of just like my hands on my head, being like, oh my god, I'm so sad. I finally breathe out a sigh, and I go, okay, well, time to get going. I turn. I take a single step into the grass, and there's a 4th crunch. And I kind of have like a mini crash out. And I just start fucking like... I'm just so mad walking home at this stage. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm going to freak the fuck out. I'm like watching the ground like a hawk. It wasn't in my garden that it happened. Except your hit place in history is the world's most brutal monster ever. True. It's very true. Have eaten your flowers. That's right true. I could make some like snail food for them. atone for my sins somehow. Thank you, Zan, for the head pat. I often need a head pat and caring after telling that horrid story. Shall cease to hold any meaning in your heart? Nah. Snails are always just little guys. Snails are always just little guys trying their best to get around. I don't mind them. They're cute. But yeah, the 4 snails that represent the 4 snails that I killed that day, they have little halos on their head and stuff. Anyway, back to the book. Where were we? Oh yeah. From Eamon Macha he skirted around the eastern shore of Loch Ness until he came to Rathmore near the town of Antrim, the palace of the king of Dal Neardy in Maglina, the valley of the 6 Mile Water, and there he did indeed accept the submission of the kings of the Dal Neardy and the Dal Fiatach. In political terms, this was a substantial achievement. But what all the sources regard as the highlight of the campaign was Brian's week-long visit to Armagh, during which he laid a gift of 20 ounces of gold on the altar. Again, this visit had much to do with symbolism. Armagh had long claimed primacy over the Irish Church. It was a claim based on the supposed connection with St. Patrick, which depended on believing that Patrick was the most noble of the saints of Ireland, and that Armagh the most noble of the churches he founded. As Patrick's status as the Apostle of Ireland became more firmly established over the centuries, the churchmen of Armagh strove ever harder to claim their right to be Ireland's first church and extend Armagh's authority and its revenue-generating capability throughout the Irish world. Although Armagh lay within the territory of the Argyala, it had for many generations been closely associated with their superiors, the kings of Kinneal Noan, and one might have expected the abbot of Armagh in 1005 to stand with the new king of that group, Flairbatach Uanail, in resisting the unheard-of demands for supremacy of his future father-in-law, the Dal Céis upstart. Instead, the abbot of Armagh accepted a very generous gift of gold from Brian, and it is clear that this was only the beginning of it, and that the two had done a deal. The abbot needed the collaboration of the King of Ireland, irrespective of his background, in asserting his own ecclesiastical hegemony over the island, and Brian of course knew that his own claim to political supremacy would be more persuasive if it came with the imprimatur of the country's leading ecclesiastic. Ruadh Snailicus, may his triumph in Dublin be glorious. He shall offer their crushed shells at the temple of Daga Optimus Maximus. No, I don't take any pride in the slaughter of snails. Please, no. Is that how they think of me? Is that how the snails view me? As a terrible conqueror? Armagh had in its possession a collection of early works by and about St. Patrick, bound together along with a set of the Gospels and Life of St. Martin of Tours in an early 9th century vellum manuscript called the Book of Armagh. Not a single artefact survives today that we can say for certain was touched or ever seen by Brian Boru, with the exception of this manuscript, now preserved in the library of Trinity College, Dublin. And we know that Brian saw it in 1005 because on folio 16v is written the following note. Oh God, it's in Latin. Sanctus Patricus iens et colum mandavat totum fructum laboris si tam baptismi tam clarorum quond el Minnesorum defendum es apostolicite urbique Scotis nominatur ard maca si reperi in bibliothekis Scotorum. Ego scripsi id e calvus perennis in conspectu Briani imperatoris Scotorum eque scripsi fintuit pro omnibus regibus Macariae. Saint Patrick, going up to heaven, commanded that all the fruits of his labour, as well as baptisms, as of law cases and of alms, should be carried to the apostolic city, which is called in the Scotic language Armagh. Thus I have found it in the libraries of the Scoti. I have written this I, Calvus Perennis, in the sight of Brian, Emperor of the Scoti, and what I have written he determined for all the kings of Marcia, or Macaria. Hello, Tasty. It's nice to see you. It is cozy reading time, based academic autism. So that's what my Latin stream sounded like. I don't think so. I think yours was much better read. I feel like, son. I feel like you actually had some decent pronunciation. I was just riffing that. It's interesting seeing bibliotheques being libraries. That's literally French bibliothèque. The person who inscribed this important statement calls himself Calvus Perennis, meaning eternally tonsured one, which is a literal translation into Latin of his Irish name, Mael Sothorn. When he died in 1031, he was described in one version of his obit as Venerable Senior of Ireland, but another reveals the vital intelligence that he was Brian's Anam Cara, a term that literally means soul friend, but implies that he was his confessor or royal chaplain. There can be little doubt, therefore, that this inscription in the Book of Armagh is an authentic record of Brian's visit in 1005, although he may have been in Armagh again the following year, when he is reported to have granted the full demand of the community and successor of Patrick, or in 1012, when he gave complete immunity to Patrick's churches on that hosting. And it is just possible that the inscription dates from one of those later visits. Biblioteca is a pretty common word for libraries. You can even see it in England whenever the English are trying to be posh. as many of them often are. I must confess to some heresy. I think classical Latin sounds goofy. Like weenie weedy weeky. Get out of here. I agree. Classical Latin does sound a little goofy. Hi, Legend. How are you? It's nice to see you. How you doing? Hope you're having a nice week. It just sounds so different from what we'd expect. I know. Like, imagine Julius Caesar saying, or sorry, I guess Kaiser. It's meant there are some things that I like about the traditional classical pronunciations. I think the Italians got a bit too far with their whole ch sound for everything. But yeah, thinking that the V's meant to be a W sound. Shut up, you Redditor. If anyone tells you, well, actually the V is meant to be a W sound, and he said Winnie Weedy Weeky. The C is meant to be a K, so it was Winnie Weedy Weeky. You gotta look at them and call them a Redditor. Call them a Redditor, and to shut up. Okay, that's what you do. Like Calum, meaning sky. I think sounds better as Calum and not Chalem. Or, sorry, I turned Jewish for a second. Chalem. L'chaim. Oy vey. L'chaim. L'chaim. Is that the word you're looking for, son? Is that what you want? But yeah, I know what you mean. Chalem. No, Sloshy, don't poke me. The fuck? Don't poke me. I definitely assume it could be Calum. Yeah. It looks. I feel like Calum looks nice there. Salem. No, town of Salem is a thing. No, Slushy, don't hide behind a wall. Slushy, you got lost in a library for half an hour, 40 minutes yesterday. I'd like to learn the basics of Hebrew one day, just for the biblical philology gains. Where are we in the book? We are in a chapter called Emperor of the Gale, which is a pretty cool term, and I think one we should bring back. Why, smart detection held for reason. What the hell, Vortis? Why did why did it block that? The letter J involving in the French English to be sound instead of Y sound is a single worst interpretation of Latin. That's so weird why that was blocked. But we're over halfway, I would say. We're over halfway, legend. Not far over halfway, but we've definitely passed that point. Languages are fascinating. Too bad there isn't enough space in my head for more than 3 at a time, it seems. I seem to be incapable of learning too, so you're like already multiple times better than me. Maybe it was the quote French English, which was certainly a friend, either an Englishman or a Frenchman. No, Pip, don't poke me. Don't poke me. Get away. You're not allowed. Stop. How dare you? I'm trying to read a story. I'm trying to read a story to you guys. No, I keep doing that. I keep duplicating like Discord stream manager things rather than like doing what I intend to. God damn it. I hate this. It looks so ugly and I can't remember how to delete them. Oh, it's so dumb. I'm going to have to look this up later because it's not working. So close. Don't listen to him poke away. I'm watching you. Anyway. I was going to watch silently, but I had to take the chance. Oh. Well, thank you for joining, Pip. Where were we? We were... Oh yeah, here we were. Either way, it would be wrong to view this brief note as akin to something a passing dignitary might inscribe in a visitor's book. While the book in Armagh was one of the great monastic city's most valued treasures, and indeed was part of the insignia of the abbot of Armagh, who regarded himself as the heir of St. Patrick, Eris Patrici, or in Irish, Comarba Patrick, which made the Book of Armagh so valuable was what it contained. Beside the text of St. Patrick's Confessio, there then believed to have been written in the saint's own hand, it contains Bishop Tirchon's Collectane on churches associated with Patrick, the Aditamenta, or additions to Tirchon, Mercu's Life of St. Patrick, and the Liber Angeli, the Book of the Angel, in which an angel is said to have decreed that Armagh would have primacy over the Irish Church. In fact, the phrasing of Mael Suathon's inscription echoes the language of the Liber Angeli, and it seems certain that this great statement of Armagh's right was placed before and read out to Brian on this occasion, so that he might see and hear for himself on what unimpeachable authority Armagh rested its claims. The memorandum is therefore not a million miles removed from an inspectimus, literally we have inspected, or exemplification whereby a king views a charter of lands or rights granted by one of his predecessors and confirms them in his own name. In this instance, Brian has seen for himself Armagh's claim to certain privileges, as well as baptisms of law cases and alms, and he is formally confirming their rights. I'd also like to learn Sumerian cuneiform and Egyptian hieroglyphs, because being so ancient I suspect them actually quite primitive, but it would be quite a flex to be able to know them. Hard to say if they'll be necessarily primitive. They could have like a lot of little intricacies that developed over time. Just make sure to face the way at chat. I'm facing kind of towards... I love that pleading emote of Daya. It's so cute. Godspeed. Godspeed, son. Only by my laziness to ever actually do anything of it. Oh, I know that feeling so badly. I always say to myself, I say it so many times, imagine if I did X, Y, Z. And sometimes I take steps towards doing it. Usually it doesn't get very far. But we'll see. Maybe something will happen. It's a glyph that's hiero. A hieroglyph is just what you know the Egyptian symbols, Pip? And what are glyph? What's a glyph? You know the Egyptian symbols? Those are hieroglyphs. Hyro means sacred. Oh, so they're sacred glyphs. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. In theory, as King of Ireland, he should be able to impose Armagh's claims on the entire country, but he seems to be giving legal force merely to the extension of Armagh's prerogatives to Munster, which had been fitful in the past. Hence the statement that this is what he determined for all the kings of Merceria. This term is undocumented elsewhere, but the great 19th century Celtic scholar Eugene O'Curry, noting that Mercia is Latin for a stone wall, suggested that it possibly meant Cashel, whose name Cashel itself comes from the Latin castellum, a stone fortress. If the agreement in effect acknowledged the right of the Church of Armagh to raise revenue and to enforce its church law in Munster, it was effective immediately. 2 years later, the death took place of a person called Tuathal Ua Maelmacha, who hailed from the Armagh area and is described as scholar and successor of St. Patrick in Ireland, and who seems to have been the first in line of individuals holding the office of Mayor, Steward, of Armagh throughout Brian's province. The memorandum is important for its description of Brian as Emperor of the Scoti, Imperatoris Scotorum. As we have seen, Mael Suthon was something of a pedant, who rejoiced in giving new names to familiar things, so that he himself became Calvus Perennis, and Cashel, or Mumu, became, instead of the usual Latin forms Cashellennis or Momenie, the outlandish Masserie, which had caused some scratching of heads ever since. It is possible, therefore, that he concocted the formula Imperator Scotorum for Brian entirely off his own bat, and that we should not read too much into it. Imagine being called X the pedant. Unparalleled autism. Unparalleled. Oh yeah, that did look kind of weird when I was looking at it. But it was another writer, the man who wrote the account of the Battle of Clontarf, preserved in the Annals of Ulster, who likened Brian to Rome's first emperor, when he called him the Augustus of the whole northwest Europe. Admittedly, this term was later applied to a few kings, such as the great Ter del Boch Ua Crahur, who died in 1156, and Mircatok Mac Lochlein, who died in 1166. But its first occurrence in the annals is to describe Brian, whom the Koga likewise dubs, using Augustus's original name, the beautiful, ever of victorious Octavian, and perhaps both these writers did so being aware of some grand imperial ambition on Brian's part. Like the first time, wait, did I? I'm mostly listening and lurking. Thank you for the lurking, Casey. I'm just going to Agon. Early enter. It's Greek, I apologize. Wait, what's Greek? Am I... Hang on, I'm going to cough. There we go. Got it out. Besides, this inscription was written into the Book of Armagh in Brian's presence, in a formal instrument that was intended to have something resembling legal force. At the very least, we can assume that Brian was happy with the form of words, and it has therefore reflected his own view of his status. Parallel is a Greek word too. Oh, yeah. And that being so, it has something to tell us. As has been pointed out before, the formula Imperator Scotorum is reminiscent of the title Imperator Romanorum, used by the German king Otto III, who died in 1002, after he became Holy Roman Emperor some years earlier. The Irish, especially the Irish of Munster, were very familiar with Germany because of the vibrancy of Irish Benedictine monasteries, or Skotenkloster, at such places as Erfurt, Würzburg, Nuremberg, Regensburg, Eichstätt, and Vienna. An educated churchman like Mael Suthon and a Christian king like Brian would of course know that the Frankish and German kings had been given the imperial titles by Rome in expectation that they would act as protector of the church, and such a role was certainly implicit in Brian's new commitment to Armagh. But of course, when the German king claimed to be emperor, he did not cease to be king. Rather, the emperor was a king who believed himself superior of all other kings, and this can be little doubt in claiming that he too was an imperator. Brian intended all to know, both at home and abroad, that among the many kings of Ireland, he was supreme. He was therefore trying to give expression to a new reality, that while Ireland would continue to have many lesser kings, he, by compulsion or persuasion, was to be king over all the rest. Excuse me. And if the Irish were familiar with the Frankish Empire, they were a great deal more familiar with contemporary England. Brian reached political maturity at a time when Edgar, King of the English in 959 to 75, was displaying quasi-imperial tendencies. In 973, towards the end of his reign, Edgar had a strangely late consecration of himself as king, perhaps inscribed by the imperial splendour of the marriage and the coronation of Empress III, or Empress of Otto's second queen at Rome the previous year. It is probably relevant that Edgar's celebration took place at the Roman city of Bath. Immediately afterwards, Edgar took his, quote, whole naval force to Chester, and 6 kings came to meet him, and all gave him pledges that they would be his allies on sea and land. Another account tells us that all the kings who were of this island, Cumbrians and Scots, came to Edgar, once 8 kings on one day, and they all submitted to Edgar's direction. Can't believe the English schools of word making has been infiltrated by sneaky little Greek people hiding in the floorboards, discreetly inserting so many Greek words into the dictionary first before the English people can come up with them. Oh, so you guys are very sneaky. Maybe a hippo. Hello, Mike. It's nice to see you. Battle of Play. I see. Hello, Sir Alm. It's nice to see you as well. Somehow, sept-based. Congrats. Good job. We love stream streaks here. I'm so tired I can't even type laughing. In case that joke's too subtle, hippo is the Greek word for horse. I didn't know that. I thought you were just saying hippo. Thank you, Fantasy, for the head pat. Oh, that's a cute emote, Mike. It's a very cute emote. So that was too subtle for my uncultured brain. Hippopotamus means river horse. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Not really. A hippo isn't very horse-like, but they're quite big. I'll have to get ready for bed, but it was really nice being here, as always. Thank you for joining, Fantasy. That doesn't make any sense. The Greek are literally insane. The Greek are literally insane. I hate that emote still. You hate my Ruadh sus emote? What the hell, Pip? That's so mean. Oh, you got like a little kitty cat next to your name, Mike. Thank you for the streams. Take care of yourself and rest well. Rest well as well, Fantasy. Get a good sleep. Where were we? I'm sorry, but I like cute. I think it's funny. We were here. Later sources imagined that Edgar steered a boat on the River Dee and that was rowed by the other kings, and they list them as including the kings of Gwynedd, North Wales, and oh god, I never know how to say this, Deheubarth, South Wales, and of elsewhere in Wales, the king of Strathclyde, and even the king of Scotland, Kinnaid, son of Mael Culliam. And among them was Macus Mac Airlay, described as king of many islands. The extraordinary thing about Macus is that his family and Brian's had a long-standing alliance, as we shall see, which had begun at about the time of his submission to Edgar at Chester. Within a year, Macus was collaborating with Dal Caish to oust the Limerick Norse from their retreat on Inishcathig, Scattery. This alliance continued for nearly 100 years until Macus's grandnephew, Eich Marach Mac Ragnail. What? This alliance continued for nearly 100 years until Macus's grandnephew, Eich Marach Mac Ragnail, died in 1005. Mick Gofre. Oh, sorry, it's saying the Mac, so his ancestor, his father Ragnail, and Mick Gofred sailed off in exile to Rome with Brian's son Donca in 1064. De Hubert. I will kill the fecker who stole the internet cable yesterday. Oh no, Mike, did you not have any internet? That's the worst. How did you feel being free from online though? Some trivia to make up for their inability to identify horses and river. The capital of Doric architectural style is called an Echinus, which is a sea urchin, which looks like the capital of a Doric column. Oh, free? You couldn't do shit. Couldn't you go for a walk? That's a very fun fact. I didn't know. That is a really cool fact. How much they look like sea urchins. Ugh. Oh no, I see. Oh, we're actually going to be able to skip a load of pages here because there's a load of photos. What I'll do is I will take photos of them later and I'll upload them all to the Discord. It's kind of like things that have been mentioned here and there. I've been skipping when it mentions it because it's like see plate tree or see page whatever for this photo of this area. A year before Edgar's assembly at Chester, Brian's brother Matt Gamon had presided over a novel assembly of the nobility of Munster, at which the 3 ordinances were passed for the banishment of the Svartlega, Norse mercenaries, the expulsion of the Norse from Limerick, and the destruction of the latter's fortress. And undoubtedly Edgar's Chester assembly the following year would have startled by its unprecedented scale, and would have inspired by its sheer ambition. Brian and the Scots. In the memorandum, Brian is called Emperor not of Ireland, but of the Scoti. In one sense, this just means the Irish. It is simply a Latin equivalent of Goidil, the Gaels. But then again, the Goidil included the entire Gaelic-speaking world of Scotland, the Western Isles and the Isle of Man. In fact, in this very period, the term Scoti or Scotty was beginning to acquire its restricted application to descendants of the early Irish colonists of northern Britain. There was a way of making it clear that Brian was claiming to be the emperor of the inhabitants of Ireland alone, and that was by using the word Hibernicae, the people of Ireland. Everyone knew this, such as the amanuensis of the chronicler Marianus Scotus, who, writing in Mainz in 1072, clarifies the matter lest there be any doubt about his place of birth by pointing out in a marginal note that, quote, I have written this book out of affection for you and for all Scoti, that is, Irish, Hibernicenibus, because I myself am Irish. The failure to make the same distinction in the title given to Brian in the Book of Armagh is possibly sheer indifference. One can imagine the Irish of what they consider the mainland Ireland routinely forgetting their provincial cousins across the North Channel. And now we have a bunch of photos that we're going to skip and maybe I'll remember to upload later. Still, the title was adopted at Armagh, and Armagh did not forget Scotland, with which it had very firm links. When Dubh de Leha, Cumbara of Patrick at Armagh, undertook Vituba totus Scotiae ex regnum Hiberniae. Mike, you missed it earlier. I read like a whole paragraph in Latin to the best of my bad ability. Undertook the headship of the Columban family of churches in 989. He did so by the counsel of the men of Ireland and Scotland. When Dubtuk Albanoch, the Scotsman, died at Armagh in 1064, he was described as chief confessor of Ireland and Scotland, and when the most illustrious of all Patrick's successors, Saint Malachi, died in 1148, he was described as head of religion for all Scotland and Ireland and Scotland. That was a wild moment to join the stream. Irish kings like Brian, therefore, who became benefactors of Armagh, were associating themselves with what was a centre of religion and learning for both the people of Ireland and Scotland, the classical illustration of which was a gesture made in 1169 by the then King of Ireland, Ruadh ua Crahúr, to provide a perpetual grant of 10 cows every year from himself, and from every King of Ireland that should succeed him, forever, to the Lector of Armagh, in honour of St. Patrick, to instruct in learning the students of Ireland and Scotland. Rue should do a reading stream of Caesar's commentaries on the Gallic Wars to learn Latin. Don't worry, he doesn't even bother sailing to Ireland. He didn't sail to Ireland because he was scared. Isn't that right, son? You guys never invaded here. You guys looked across the sea. You guys looked at the English in the bogs staring at you like 10 feet away with their heads just above the water. And we're like, if these people are like this, then those people must be even worse. And you were scared. Complaining about it raining in England and goes home. It sounds about right. Hello, Kaleido. Glad I caught your stream. Hope you've been hydrating. I have been, don't worry. Where were we? We turned back because of the weather. I can understand, though. He was here for the tin. Where were we? And while Brian's new title of the Emperor of the Scottie was adopted when he was in Armagh on ecclesiastical business, the context, as we have seen, was a grand procession from the northeast corner of Ireland to seek the acquiescence of all those willing to come into his house, as the annals might put it. It was not in the least bit improbable if some Irish, for that is how they were viewed and viewed themselves, of Gaelic Scotland and the Isles, took the opportunity to attend Brian's court, and, at the very least, make acquaintance of this new power in the land. Some may have even sought his protection. Just then, turbulent things were happening across the North Channel. In the same year as Brian's Armagh campaign, and almost in the same sentence in the annals, it is reported that there took place a battle between the men of Scotland themselves, in which fell the King of Scotland, Kinnaid, son of Dubh. Cat éter feru Alban iméter etochar ri Alban, Kinnaid im Dubh. Another account has it that Kinnaid, son of Dubh, son of Mael Colum, King of Scotland, was killed by Mael Colum, son of Kinnaid. That's really fucking confusing. How could anyone ever understand these annals? I'm gonna tell you guys what this says, okay? It says Kinnaid, son of Dubh, son of Mael Colum, King of Scotland, was killed by Mael Colum, son of Kinnaid. It's like it that would really throw me for a loop if I was reading that for a bit. The ultimate British protection. Nobody wants that rainy ass area anyway. Criminals today parallels that. In that criminals today are often ignorant of DNA forensics and believe they can get away with crime simply because nobody was there to see it. The local tribes would frequently revolt, not because they think they can beat Caesar, but simply because Caesar was not in town that day. They didn't understand that he had messengers. That's really funny. It's given my father's aunt's third cousin twice removed. It's not even that. They're two different people, very much, but it's just similar names. Roman propaganda sounds like it. Where were we? Even I don't believe that. Another account has it that... Oh wait, no, I read that. This individual then succeeded as King Mael Colum II, and it is said of him in the so-called prophecy of Berchon that he was the son of a woman of Leinster, son of the cow that grazes upon the countryside of the Liffey. If this is true, his father, Kinnaid II, had married a Leinster princess and presumably therefore formed a political alliance with a king of Leinster at some point during his reign. There were 4 men whose reign of Leinster overlapped with Kinnaid's,
But it is worth mentioning that when Kinnaid succeeded as King of Scotland in 971, the reigning Leinster king was Muirchud mac Finn of Ua Fillon, father of the famous Gormlea, who was later to marry and be divorced by Brian, and of the male Morda, whom Brian had allowed to succeed to the kingship of Leinster in 1003. If another of the siblings was the woman of Leinster who gave birth to King Mael Culliam II of Scotland, we should perhaps allow for the possibility that when Mael Morda rose in rebellion against Brian in 1013, in initiating the events that would lead to the Great Battle of Clontarf, he may have looked to assistance to his putative nephew on the throne of Scotland. Roman propaganda. I think you mean the undisputed truth ordained by Jupiter. Jupiter told me Caesar didn't cite anyone. You took my cloak. How dare you, Tasty? 7 birds flew past. That means you're totally evil and I should conquer your lands. It's totally evil, and not only that, like, one of them threw a rock at like a tree in your land too, son. So it's a purely defensive war. It has to be done. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Incidentally, Mael Morda murdered a rival in 999, which the Book of Leinster claims he did at the instigation of the then High King Mael Shocknail MacDonald. When in 1007 Mael Shocknail revived the ancient Lammas assembly known as Onach Tailtean, the poet Cuan Ua Lothcon commemorated the occasion with a poem in which he claimed that an unbroken truce prevailed throughout Ireland and Scotland while it lasted. This may be poetic license, and surely does not require us to think that either Brian, as Emperor of the Scoti, or Mael Shocknail himself, exercised sufficient authority over Scottish affairs to be able to enforce such a peace, but it may be worth pointing out that Mael Shocknail had a son, who was simply called the Scotman. In one of the set of the annals, and in the Coga when he was killed in 1013, and perhaps he got the nickname because of this family of Brian's predecessor as High King, had indeed some notable connections with Scotland. Perhaps he was fostered there, which territorial and dynastic nicknames are often used to indicate. It is just possible, therefore, that when Brian was in the north of Ireland in 1005, one or more of the Scottish lords contending for power at that time made an approach for him for assistance, bearing in mind that he now had at his beck and call the magnificent warrior fleets of all the Norse towns of Ireland, and that Brian's grandiose title of Emperor of the Scoti is intended to reflect some loose suzerainty over them. In which case it is interesting that, for the following year in 1006, the annals have an account of Brian's most elaborate and most successful northern expedition yet, followed immediately by a report of a battle between the men of Scotland and the Saxons, and the Scots were defeated and a great number of their nobility left dead. The annals do not link these two events, probably for good reasons, but the Coga, which had hitherto proved to be fairly level-headed about Brian's campaigns, sticking tolerably closely to the annals from which it draws, suddenly bursts into what looks like fantasy, having described Brian's arrival at Creab Tulka in County Antrim in 1006. He sent forth after that a naval expedition upon the sea of the foreigners of Dublin and of Waterford, and of the Ua Chenslaig and the Ua Eachach Mumon, and of almost all the men of Ireland, such as them were fit to go to sea, and they levied royal tribute from the Saxons and the Britons and the Lennox, and or in Scotland and all Argyll, and obtained their pledges and hostages along with the chief tribute. Brian distributed all the tribute according to rights, a third part of it to the King of Dublin, a third to the warriors of Leinster and the Ua Eachach Mumon, and another third to the men of learning and craft, and to everyone else who was in need most of it. This is tended to be dismissed as nonsense, but is it really so fantastic to imagine that when Brian was up in County Antrim, with a large fleet at his disposal, part of it was not given license to wreak a bit of havoc among the coastal communities of Britain's northwestern seaboard, and that these did not buy them off with a payment of tribute that was no more than a kind of blackmail? It smacks a little of an incident that happened 4 years earlier, when Brian was trying to force Uloyd into submission, which was no doubt connected to it, in which the newly chastened and for now loyal vassal, Sitric of Dublin, set out on a predatory excursion into Oloid in his ships, and he plundered Kilcleef and Inch, and carried off many prisoners from both. Sitric may well have been in command of the Coga's supposed naval expedition in 1006, which probably had not a dissimilar outcome. A dinky little temple in their capital, dedicated to Janus, as doors were open to the public only when Rome was at war, were only ever closed for like 3 short periods in the entirety of Roman history. The Romans. They love their war. But it's always defensive. How dare you take my Eoner? I guess it is kind of getting kind of warm, I will say, so thank you, though. I will, you know what? I need it. Now he's looking proper summery. True, actually. If we imagine the communities mentioned in the Coga, the royal tribute of Saxon and Breton and Lennox and Alban and Era Goidel, as being people of Anglican origin in the Lothian, the Cumbrians of Clydesdale, the Lennox a little to the north around Loch Lomond, and Argyll as being no more than the Cowal Peninsula, we could in fact be referring to a rather confined area penetrated by putting some boats on the Clyde and Loch Lomond, and therefore a modest achievement. Indeed, it is reminiscent of what happened in 870-71, when Sitric's ancestors, having overthrown the fortress of Dumbarton, in precisely that area of the outer Clyde, returned to Dublin with 200 ships bearing a great prey of Angles and Britons and Picts. This was not a vast pillaging of England, Wales and Scotland, but rather a localised raid on the multi-ethnic communities who could be reached via the Firth of Clyde, and those same communities perhaps fell victim to Sitric's fleet when Brian was in County Armagh, or County Antrim, in 1006. I can't believe they stole his kimono. Ninjogo Hozu. Roa is getting a kimono for 2.0. Maybe I should go for something like that. Well, maybe not 2.0. I don't know how like a 2.0. I don't know. The same Loch Lomond as in the song? Maybe. Probably. I would like to get a new outfit though. It's been a long time. My mom is just always very busy. So, yeah. Maybe I should get a 2.0. You should get like a sparkly green suit with a green top hat that has a belt buckle on it. Son, I've seen your like long posts about fashion. I know you have better fashion than that. Furthermore, it may be worth pointing out that he'll be starting his streams with Top of the Morning. I was trying my best to avoid the leprechaun joke. Hand-holding toggle where he just holds a handful of potatoes. Oh, I could be like that meme, you know, like I'm dropping, like you spill your spaghetti, I'm dropping my potatoes. It's like Fua talks to me and I start dropping my potatoes. Furthermore, it may be worth pointing out that Mael Colum, who had succeeded in the kingship of the Scots the previous year, is described in the prophecy of Bearchon as an enemy of the Britons, battler of the Goyle. The Goyle, which is not Gael. Instead, Goyle is foreigner, basically. Raider of Islay and Arran. And perhaps this harks back to an episode of competition or cooperation between himself and Brian in the same area. But all this is speculation. The fact is that we know for certain, from other sources, that Brian had strong links with the region. The family that provided kings or claimants to the kingship of Western Isles at this time was the Meac Arlea, sons of Haraldr. In 971-2, Maccus and Gudr, Mac Arlaet, were trying to take possession of Anglesey, but in 974 they made a great hosting around Ireland, arriving into the Shannon Estuary in the company of the lawmen of the Isles, where they stormed the monastic site of Inishcathig, at which the Norse of Dublin had set up base, taking as prisoners overseas the latter's king, Eimar, as Iron was a bitter enemy of Brian's family, whose war with them was to lead to the death of his brother Matgamon 2 years later. We can suppose that the Dal Caish and the Mac Arley on the Isles were already in alliance. Hello, Clever, it's nice to see you. In 980, shortly after Brian assumed the kingship, Gofrey the Mac was back in Wales, where he took sides in a succession dispute over the kingship of Gwynedd and ravaged Anglesey and Lynn. While 2 years later he had turned his attention to South Wales and attacked St. David's and Dyfed in general. You haven't eaten any potatoes in a while? I think I've gotten tired of them. You ate boiled potatoes every day for like almost a year. Eating toasted cheese sandwiches every day. Ever since you bought that toasty maker. Toasted cheese sandwiches are really good. They're like one of my favorite lunches. Why can't I hold all these taters? I've never heard anyone call them taters here. Potatoes can be so delicious and versatile. Oh, they're so good. They're so good. What about spuds? I have heard spuds. It is another 2 years before we find... You know what? I'm actually going to fill up my water bottle because I need a drink. I need a sippy. That's not what I wanted to say. Maybe I should, though. Yeah. There we go. No, don't poke me. Don't poke me, Lumi. How dare you? I thought I'd get away with not getting poked this time around. I can get tired of a stable. That's like an Asian getting tired of rice. I agree. That literally that's what it is. I like how the like we have two such different obviously there's like wheat and stuff, but like the potato, you have the potato, which is like a big vegetable. Then you have rice. Is rice a vegetable? Wait, what is rice classified under? No, it's a grain. No. It would be a grain, wouldn't it? It's like wheat and stuff. Sorry, yeah, it's a grain. It's a grain. What am I talking about? I'm dumb. because I was liking. So what happened there is I was liking rice to potatoes, in terms of, I would say, popularity of like in Ireland, like the two island nations. Like yeah, there's Britain there as well. And I just got confused. I like confused myself because I thought in my brain I was going to say a potato is like a giant rice. Is what I was going to say. It's literally called a grain of rice. I'm so dumb. A potato is like a giant grain of rice. So you have on the east, in Japan and in East Asia, and other places obviously, you have rice, small grains. And then over in the west, you have big potato, big rice, big piece of rice. Small rices, many rices, good. Big rice, very good too. I think the potato is literally one of the most nutritious foods in the world. Like one of the most natural It might be the most naturally nutritious, like, dense food in the world. How humans cultivated grass seeds and rice. Mike, do you think it's possible that it was the grass seeds that cultivated humans and the growing them and spreading them? Go live out in a farm in exile and eat cabbages as punishment. I don't want to eat cabbages. Back to the bottom, working my way up. Oh, I'm sorry, Lumi. Honestly, just a baked potato with some olive oil and coarse salt is so good. Peak. That does sound good. If you're making like roast potatoes, if you get like one of those like really low calorie oil sprays, if you spray those on the potatoes, you get them nice and crispy. Brown sauce is really nice with roast potatoes, by the way. I would highly recommend it. I can feel it getting slowly more humid as the night goes on. I don't like this. I'm just going to finish out this little section, though. I feel like we've done well. Where do we start reading from again? 35. Okay, we've almost done like 20 pages. I would rather die before getting an oil spray. It's fun. You can use like any oil. You can use like well, yeah, like olive oil is fine. I think the spray is just handy. The spray is just handy because it's like a little, like you just do like a, that's it. But I understand. With the help of the mighty priestess Medea-chan, I cast forth these dragon rice grains into the earth. Earthborn samurai. Is that how Asians were made? I like you just a little bit of water, a little bit of earth, and like a grain of rice, and an Asian person forms. Mike, can you confirm that's true? I guess it's a DIY. It might be acceptable. That's fair. 90% made of rice. That makes a lot of sense. The other percent is what is Japanese Thievesville? I don't know. Where were we? Oh yeah. It is another 2 years before we find direct evidence of the Mac Arliot alliance with Brian. In 984, Brian travelled to the second great Hiberno-Norse town at Waterford, whose overlord he had become, and the annals describe an extraordinary rendezvous there with the Mac Arliot, who arrived in their fleet from Wales or the Isles. They had a formal exchange of hostages with Brian, to act as collateral before a projected joint assault on the third and greatest of the Hiberno-Norse enclaves, Dublin. This did not materialise, although they did jointly wreak havoc on enemies in South Leinster, and we hear nothing of Mac Arliot for 3 years, until they fought a battle in the Isle of Man in 987, the same year as what seems to be a second operation by Gofrid mac Airlay in Anglesey, although Anglesey and Man are easily confused, in which he took a massive prey of people. When Gofrid died 2 years later in Dal Riata, either in North Antrim or Western Scotland, he is called King of the Islands of the Foreigners, or Western Scotland. He is called King of the Islands of the Foreigners, Rí Inish Goil, the first person ever to bear a title that would survive for centuries, and when his son Ragnall, Rogvalder, died in 1005, he too was termed in such a style, or King of the Isles. If he was still functioning as king in the Hebrides or the Isle of Man, or both, it is curious that another source tells us that he died in Brian's province in Munster. Presumably, the family's alliance with Brian was still intact, and in 1005, of course, was the year of Brian's expedition to Armagh and an adoption of his now new title, Imperator Scotorum, just possibly a nod in the direction of peoples in the wider Gaelic world. So when Brian fought his last battle some years later at Clontarf, one of those who gave his life fighting alongside him was Donal MacEamon McCainoch Moore, the Moormare, Great Steward or Sea Steward of Scottish province of Mar in Aberdeenshire. What a Scottish Earl was doing in the army of the King of Munster we can only guess at. Perhaps he was nothing more than a hired mercenary, but even if he was a mercenary, Mar is northeastern Scotland, and Brian hailed from southwestern Ireland. Surely his ability to recruit to his banner someone from so distant a locality speaks volume to his ties with the region. Besides, the Earl of Mar is listed as one of the Irish kings and noblemen who died alongside Brian, and it is most unlikely that he took part in the battle for payment. He was an ally of Brian, and perhaps if there is anything to Brian's claim to be Imperator Scotorum, he was in fact a vassal. Good night, Casey. Have a good sleep. How long is this next section? Because it's not that long. It's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. And then we can say we got 20 pages, which I think would be a good reading stream. Yeah, you know what? I'll push on for another 5. Brian's slogud term call Éireann. Brian now having become a patron of Armagh, it is noticeable that the Annals of Ulster, which give us Armagh's viewpoint on things, take a more benign view of his actions from this point on. They therefore decide that he had returned home from the 1005 campaign, bringing the pledges of the men of Ireland with him, as if to suggest that his work was done, and he had now received the hostages or pledges of all Ireland. Even the Coga is more circumspect, noting that Brian acquired the hostages of Dal Fiatach of Olaid and their neighbours of Dal Neardy, and of the north also, the lands of the northern Nunail, except Kinneal Conoil. But we come closer to the reality of the situation by considering the ambiguous way in which the Annals of Inishfallen record that Brian had come north to obtain the hostages of Kinneal Conoil and Kinneal Noan, but then never quite say that it came to pass. And the reason is undoubtedly that these pro-Brian sources were concealing the unpalatable truth that, as the sceptical record of the Four Masters and the Chronicon Scotorum have it, the net gains of the expedition were limited to the acquisition of the hostages of Uloid, albeit both the Dal Fiatach and the Dal Neardy. In fact, the Four Masters tells us that in that year, the king of Kinneal Noan, Flabertoch Uanoil, led an army into the Lechael district of County Down, killing its king, and in a separate incident fought a battle at Loch Brickland, also in County Down. Hello, Spectra. Welcome in, welcome in. Ishfallen. Did I read something that was very Ishfallen-y a moment or two ago? I don't know. I'm looking for it. Have you read Full Metal Alchemist? I have not. I'm sorry, son. Loch Brickland, also in County Down, at which the heir apparent to the kingship of the Ua Eachach was slain. The people of O'Loyd were being punished for their submission to Brian, to which Kinneal Noan were, it seemed, vehemently opposed. Indeed, in the following year, Flabertoch widened his campaign of intimidation of O'Loyd's subject peoples by launching an assault on the Conneely Mirthmana of North Louth, although he seemed to have come off the worse from it. Therefore Brian's war would go on, if it is appropriate to call it a war, as unlike Kinneal Noan's bloody aggression in O'Loyd, the various accounts of Brian's northern campaigns thus far are entirely silent on whether as much as single blow had been struck in anger. Called the Ishfallens? I have no idea who they are. I'm sorry, son. I think maybe you misheard something. It is the stubborn independence on the part of the Northern Nunail that compelled Brian to proceed north again in 1006. And this grand tour seems to have been quite extraordinary, even by comparison with the earlier exploits of this man, now probably 65 years of age. There seems to have been an air of majesty about it, which caught the contemporary imagination. So the Annals of Ulster, in their coverage of more than 1,000 years of Irish history, only once used the phrase Sloga Tim Coyle Éireann, a hosting around Ireland, and it is of this particular happening, among the great historic campaigns throughout the length of breadth of Ireland, one that sticks out in the famous march in 941 by Muircheartaigh na Cóchal Craachan MacNeil, who entered into folk memory of the Irish, and yet the account of it in the annals of Ulster is by no means as elaborate as their description of Brian's expedition in 1006. The annal that really goes to town on describing Muircheartaigh's campaign in 941 is that of the Four Masters, but it has clearly been embellished at a later date. The fact is that for a period in which Brian was active, and presumably it is just a coincidence, the Annals of Ulster and other chronicles are unfailingly concise, to the point of being cryptic. And yet they burst into life to record the episode of Brian's March of 1006, and insist on documenting the great army's itinerary as it advanced in a vast clockwise manoeuvre around the island. He hates anime. He isn't even a weave. He touches grass too much. I bet he reclines in his seat. We were here. It was a great hosting of the men of Ireland, according to the Four Masters and the Chronicon, and specifically, as the Annals of Inishfallen have it, of the men of Munster, the Leinstermen, the men of Meath, Mael Shocknail, the Connachta, the foreigners of Dublin, the men of the whole of Ireland south of Sliabh Fua, in South Armagh. They travelled first to Athlone, perhaps by boat up the Shannon, and from there to the famous plain of Magnai in North Roscommon, then up the Curlew Mountains, between Loch Igara and Loch Key as the Roscommon-Sligo border, arriving, we are told, into Tir Tiril in south-east Sligo, then into Creach Capra, before crossing over the Garvogue River, which runs from Loch Gill to the town of Sligo. Hello, BTS Army Stay 20. Hi, cutie. Hello. Mail Shock Mail. Sliabh Fua. Mail mentioned. Ooh. Yeah, Mail Shock Nail. M-A Fada E-L S-E-C-H-N-A-I-L-L. Boys? Where did you see Sliabh Fua? And then, keeping his left hand to the sea and his right hand to the land, and Ben Bulben, into the northern tip of County Leitrim, over the Duff River, and over, I heard Sliabh Fua. Munster, hang on, I gotta read this. Munster, Leinster, Men of Meath, Mael Shocknail, Connachta, Foreigners of Dublin, Whole of Ireland. Oh, Sliabh Fua. Sliabfuait. That's what you heard. Where were we? We were... So they came to the South Donegal plain called Mag Éna, between the Drowse and Erna. They crossed the Erna near the famous falls of Assaroe, using the vital ford where the town of Ballyshannon has since grown up. If there was only one place in Ireland that was worth visiting, which place would it be? Ooh, that's really hard. I think climbing... I'm trying to think. I can't name a single place in Ireland. Well, you're English, I expect that. Carrontool is a class climb. Going up the Devil's Ladder, it's just such a cool hike, and you get out into the countryside. I think it's really, really cool. I'd highly recommend it. There's probably some better historical places like Cashel and stuff. Obviously, you have the most famous Neolithic tomb, that of, oh god, what's his name in Irish again? Oh no, it has a very specific name in Irish, and it shows up in all of the Yeah, the big tomb. The big tomb is what I'm talking about. What's it in Irish? Because actually it's like constantly being traded back and forth between multiple characters in it. That's it. Brú na Bóin. Brú na Bóin. Is Newgrange. That's also a pretty cool thing to go see. You like hiking, noted. Even better if it has cows or goats. Brú na Bóin. Harry said to upload the VOD later. She can't watch this stream. I'm sorry, if she can talk to you, she can watch the stream. I won't be uploading the VOD. No, I'll upload the VOD. Don't worry. I'm half expecting to see her appear now and be like, fuck you, bitch. She's on the Discord. Haru's a girl? He hates Haru. Yeah, Haru is a girl. Who likes men and when men do things together. Fujo. She's not even here to defend herself either. She's a dirty Fujo. She's a resident Fujo. You can't, Clyde, you can't say resident Fujo. No, Fox, don't poke me. Don't poke me. Get away from me. Stop it. There's way too many Fujos in this chat. In this viewership, in my community, to say the resident Fujo. There's only one Haru I know that is a boy that I suspect is a girl. Now there's another Haru who I thought was a guy, but is apparently a girl. Spectra doing a little dance. How do you spell that name? I'm researching for a possible future trip. It would come up as Newgrange. Newgrange is the Irish, or sorry, is the passage tomb I'm talking about. It's known as Brú na Bóin. BRU Fada NA, one word, but it should come up. If you type in Irish Newgrange, it should come up. No, that's Haru Mizuki. Haru's very sweet. Haru's a very sweet guy. He's helped me with things. He helped me set up my VTuber model when I first debuted. And I pop in every now and again to ask him stuff. I don't know who the other Fujos are, but I have a bias. Well, Mike's a Fujo. Sounds like a British high crime council estate. It does a little bit. Okay, I only have like a page and a half, or two pages and a half. I thought I was about to get spammed because the name caught me off guard. Hello, cantankerous creature. Welcome in. Today's reading should be Harambe's battle for justice. As 10 years ago he left us. He grabbed the child by the leg, dragged him through the water, and then just kind of stood there and then got shot. Mike's a girl? Mike is not a girl. But he calls himself a Fujo for the fun of it. But hello, cantankerous creature. I didn't realize it was 10 years ago that happened. That is insane. Oh my god. You have so many AO3 tabs open. Can I join the Fujo corner? You can, don't worry. Gachi Bass. Based Mike. I remember... Do you guys know something very funny? I flirted with a girl who would go on to become a decently long relationship by talking to her about Gachi base. I'm 100% serious. 100% serious. I explained what it was and that I thought it was very funny. And then we went on a date. Stay away from women. You're supposed to get with men. I think I read somewhere the death of Harambe lines up with the World War II surrender of Belgium or something. Falling pipe ASMR, falling pipe sound effect, or pipe falling sound effect. But yeah, I use the term fudanshi myself. I think that's technically the term for men who like that stuff too. But I think Mike just likes the term Fujo. Anyway, I want to finish off this little section because then we got 20 pages down. Where were we? Oh yeah, here we are. Now, in the lands of Canail, whose submission Brian was seeking, the army traversed Tir Eda, roughly the present day barony of Tirhu, which runs from the Ballyshannon area up past the town of Donegal. But they then inexplicitly left Tir Canail over the Barnesmore Gap into Canail known territory, nothing further being reported of their actions until they forded the River Bann, at first at Kamsa. I'm like, some of these names aren't even things. I don't even know these. A silence we can no doubt equate with a lack of achievement. I just noticed the snails. Oh yeah, Mike, is this your first time seeing the snails? Oh my god. They've been here for a while. Is your name Scottish or Irish? I'm confused because I can still understand what you're saying. I am Irish. It is an Irish name. Ruadh is how you would pronounce it. I have a hard time understanding the accents. That's understandable, especially if they're Northern Ireland. If they're Northern Ireland, they can be very tough to understand. And then if you get, wait, hang on, let me try and do a Scottish. Oh aye, eh? If they're proper Scot, yeah. If they're proper Glaswegian, if they're proper Glasy, then they can become fucking deadly to understand. No, I can't do a good Scottish accent. Hang on. No, I can't get it. I'm sad now. The green one is Garfield. Yeah, you named the green one Garfield, and all the others are just Snail 1, Snail 2, Snail 3. They're very pretty, Kaleido, though. Thank you for them. Truly the content we signed up for. The good stuff. You guys are welcome. Now that you mention it, the rest do need names. Well, we'll never know their real names because they were crushed under my foot in a horrible, horrible accident. Where were we? We were here. They therefore headed into what was already proved a happier hunting ground in Uloid, entering the lands of Dal Riata in the far north of Antrim, then into South Antrim, the lands of the Dal Niardi, then north down, the Dal Fiathook patrimony, travelling all the way through County Down until they reached the borders of County Louth and the lands of Conoily Merthema, turning up, it seems, at their assembly. Or perhaps the point being made is that the army passed through the place where the Conoily traditionally held their assemblies. The great army finally disbanded around the feast of Lunasa, the beginning of August, when they reached a place called Bealoch Dún, which seemed to be Castle Kieran on the black water west of Kells, County Meath. The Koga tells us that Brian then dismissed the men of Ireland to their homes in all directions, and the four masters adding that the Leinster men then proceeded southwards across Brega to their territory, and the foreigners by sea round eastward to their fortress. The Munster men, and also the Osraig and Connaughta, went through Mead westward to their territories. Oh god, okay, we're almost there. I have like 3.5 pages of this section. Then we'll be good. You could say you snailed it. That doesn't make any sense. Oh wait, no, nailed. It does make a lot of sense. You snailed it. Ah, that's very smart, Tasty. That's very smart. Makes me want to eat some cabbage, pork, and potatoes. I'm not a big cabbage person. I do like my carrots, my carrot and parsnip mash, broccoli. Yeah. Now in the lettuce paradise, munching yummy vegetables. True. They're eating all the veggies. They're eating all the sun's flowers. You do love me some purple cabbage. It's not a bad shout. Excuse me. The whole enterprise seems to have been mesmerizing to contemporaries in its scale and its splendour, and in the sheer ambition that underlay it, but it is more apparent that it failed. The total silence of the annals of Inishfallen on the subject of whether the northern kings tendered their hostages speak volumes. The Four Masters in Chronicum Scotorum expressly state that Kenil Conoil and Kenil Noan refused to submit, and although they can see that the Oloi did give their hostages, and as the Koga glamorizes this triumph, thus providing in passing one of the earliest mentions of the word Ballia, for which the Ireland's Bally place name derives. How dare you? Brian was then at Creab Tulcha, the Ulaid rendering food to him there. They gave him 1,200 beeves, 1,200 hogs, 1,200 wethers, and Brian bestowed 1,200 horses upon them, along with gold and silver in clothing, for no food provider from any of their estates departed from Brian without receiving a horse or some other gift that deserved his thanks. It is at this juncture that the Koga blazes the expedition against Saxons and Britons and Scots, and is convinced that by the year 1006 Brian had reached the pinnacle of his power. Hello, Banana, it's nice to see you, 1,200 hogs. I bet you'd like to see that, Mike. Thank you for the head pat, Kaleido. So Brian returned. Oh yeah, so this is the Koga. So Brian returned from his great royal visitation. No, that's not how I read it. From his great royal visitation around all Ireland, made in this manner, and the peace of Ireland was proclaimed by him, both of churches and people, so that peace throughout all Ireland was made in his time. He fined and imprisoned the perpetrators of murders, trespass, and robbery and war. He hanged and killed and destroyed the robbers and thieves and plunderers of Ireland. He extirpated, dispersed, banished, caused to fly, stripped, maimed, ruined, and destroyed the foreigners in every district and in every territory. Gula gacha tir orcus gacha tuha. Throughout the breadth of Ireland, he killed also their kings and their overkings, their warriors and strong soldiers, their men of renown and valour, Areaca orcus a ruacra, a triral orcus a thren, melid. He enslaved and reduced to bondage their stewards and overseers, their mercenaries and hirelings, and their comely, large, cleanly youths, and their smooth, youthful girls. We see here again the author's preoccupation with the Viking scourge, and what Brian's supposed role in ending it. That aside, his point is that Brian ushered in an age of peace. Cranking my 1,200 hogs. After the banishment of foreigners out of all Ireland, and after Ireland was reduced to a state of peace, a lone woman from Tory, an island off County Donegal, in the north of Ireland, to Cliedna, Glandore Harbour in West Cork, in the south of Ireland, carrying a ring of gold and a horse hod, and she was neither robbed nor insulted, whereupon the poets sang, from Tory to pleasant Cliedna, and carrying with her a ring of gold, in the time of Brian of the bright side, fearless, a woman made the circuit of Erin. O Torig co Cliedna case, is oil ur eke riahais, ois, is re brian toigoil near team, da tuakil oin vein Erin. I have no... Old Irish reads so weird. I'm not even that good at Irish either. It is a romantic notion that Brian brought such tranquility and imposed such reverence for law and order that a woman could traverse from Ireland north to south on her own without hindrance, and we would expect nothing less of the naive author of the Koga, yet the same idea is in the Annals of the Ulster. While its Armagh focused our author was more excited about the fact that in 1006, as he puts it, Brian granted full demand of the community and successor of Patrick, which presumably means that Brian again met the Abbot of Armagh and granted further privileges. The account of his bravura journey ends, like the Koga, by quoting a quatrain of verse. It is remarkable that Sliab Kua has no maraudering brand. The foreigners do not row on the Eidnoch. That a lone woman crosses Luchar. That cows are without a herdsman, lowing. That is in Brian's time. Then, this of course has more than a whiff of retrospection about it, and we may take it that it was not written contemporaneously, But it is interesting that it was inserted here under the year 1006, precisely the same point in time at which the Koga places it. The Koga is not contemporaneous either, but was written by someone who may well have lived through the last years of Brian's life, and hence looked back on his childhood with rose-tinted spectacles. Despite, therefore, the limited dividends he reaped in his stately circuit of Ireland in 1006, Brian had never been more dominant. His methods were undoubtedly not without precedent. Indeed, so far as we can tell, his approach to power was entirely consistent with the long-established conventions for the assertion of lordship and the prosecution of war. But he realized the potential of the high kingship more effectively than his predecessors did, and having gained a position of ascendancy, was more committed to and more proficient at exploiting it to its full. By 1006, it was surely apparent that all that Ireland had never witnessed a more effective high king. And the next chapter is the humbling of Keneal Noan, which was one of the groups that were a torn in Brian's side, but we will get to that in another stream. Oh. Thank you for the hydrate, Mary. I definitely need it. I can feel my voice beginning to strain. Oh, I needed that. We're at page 156, and there are 279 pages. You can't end it on that part, man. Yes, I can, Dixie, because the next part is like, it like leaves you wondering, like, oh, wait, how did he defeat those guys that were always coming against him? Making good progress, though. We are. I think we are, anyway. We're on, like, number 8 stream. Also, hi, Dixie, it's nice to see you. Number 8 stream. So, perhaps we get, like, another 10, maybe 12. Depends on how long we go. Devious. He wants to make sure we're eager for the next reading. I know. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, you guys don't come here for me. You come here for the historical, interesting reading. Or to just fall asleep because it's so boring. Because me talking is so boring. That's why you come here. You guys don't come here for me. I know how this works. I was actually shocked today when I woke up. I can't even understand half the book, bro. I wasn't in bed to be afflicted evil upon me. Not boring, but relaxing. Not a cliffhanger. That's fair. I do understand, Mike. It's probably very hard to follow at times when I'm like reading out place names. Even I'm struggling with some of the place names because I don't recognize some of them. Truly the greatest of evils. True. That's very true. I mean, fucking George R. R. Martin has been edging his fans for the winds of winter for like 2 decades or something. From ordinary day stimulations. That's fair. I'm glad you guys can relax with me. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So today it was announced. Was it today or yesterday? I think it might have been yesterday. Actually, it would have been yesterday because I remember I looked at it in the morning when I was having a shower, and I didn't get up early today. I didn't get up too early today. But I remember being very sleepy and kind of glancing at it while I was in the shower. Brian Brew in the land of Moo. My improv brain just imagined it on a map and went, yes, and... It's not edging at this point, the ball to disintegrate it. You enjoy the timbre of Rua's voice, but you gotta admit you don't understand half of what's going on. It's a lot easier to understand when you're reading it, obviously. But it is very tricky to find. Obviously, this book is sort of written both as like history, like history for you to read, but also for someone who is like researching about things. So it's very particular and detailed about certain things, and it references all the different annals all the time. Letting the soothing Irish streamer make me eepy. But anyway, sorry. The thing that I heard about, I saw the announcement of, was that Rothmau. I don't know if you guys know this Niji Sanji group. Yes, their name does come from a portmanteau. Is that how you say that? Portmanteau? Of Rothel and Lamau. It's Rothmau. Effectively has been disbanded, put on hold. I'm not too sure what they're planning to do, but it was made of the it was made up of certain individuals in Niji Sanji. It was made up of Kaida Haru, Fuaminato, Kagami. Oh god, what's his name again? Kagami. He's also known as Shachou, and Kenmochi Toya. Kaida Haru. Kaida. And basically what happened, this wasn't a graduation, but for many who loved the Rothmau group, this was a big thing. Kenmochi decided to leave, that he was kind of done with, he's sort of done with Rothmau. He's had enough of it. And so they had their final stream today, I believe, and they said their goodbyes. They're still like in Niji Sanji altogether, but Rothmau is probably going to be like on hold. And it's wild to me because like I followed them for ages. I really enjoy their videos. They probably one of the most successful VTuber groups in terms of like sales and music. Like unironically, they did very well. Dude, I'm not even over half the Holostar JPs leaving. Dude, fuck it, Holostars isn't even a thing anymore, Mike. It's officially dead. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. You don't gotta know the historical position of all the things to follow along with a good story. But yeah, it's just kind of a big shock. Like for me, it was Kaida Haru that I mainly followed. He was like one of the first VTubers I really got attached to. He was gen mates with Ginzuki Tojiro alongside Nagi Okai, who were also I remember there was a big drama before because Kaida changed like his profile, his like Twitter bio, and I think also his YouTube thing, and he'd kind of moved Vals and them down a bit. And like all the Vals fans got very upset with him, and a lot of his older fans too, his prior fans. But do you guys remember the dog? Do you guys remember that really streamlined dog and all the memes about like the dog was in the air tunnel, and you could see how flat the dog was or something? You guys remember that meme on Twitter? Mysterious. His fucking name always gets me. Mysterious. Oh, an actual dog. No, not a VTuber dog. Yes, an actual dog. An actual dog. Let me see if I can pull it up, because you guys might remember. Flat dog meme. No, what would it be called? Air streamlined dog meme? Twitter? Something like that? No, flat Mongolian dog. That's it. That's the image. That's what I'm looking for. Sure, whatever images is, it's now deleted. Do you guys remember this dog? It was aerodynamics of a cow coated. It's just mysterious. That's what I always find funny about the name. I distance so much on that side of YouTubing I don't recognize anyone. Right? You probably would recognize some of the designs. They can do better from now onwards. Maybe you can see them. I don't think they've actually graduated. I think they've just split from. They just split from the group, so they're still going to be streaming under their normal stuff. They just don't want to do any more idle stuff. This dog. First time seeing it. I see Kaleido. It got very big because the dog is very flat. But this dog comes from Rothmau. It is a Rothmau video, and I'll find the video. that people took this image from. It's funny that they had a genuine like viral thing from it. So I can. Is this the one with the dog? I assume it is. I'll just put this one by Yija, which is a great YouTube channel who does translations. We love translators. We love clippers. We love translator clippers. They're the best. But yeah, it's just interesting seeing that is, at the very least, it's on hold. That group is on hold. It's possible they might replace him. They might just do it with the 3, which I don't think would be a good idea, because Kenmochi Toya really brought like a great vibe to the group. He was very funny. He had a very interesting like personality in amongst them all. They all did. All 4 of them were great. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird to see them. But I think I'm going to go because I can feel my room getting hotter and hotter and hotter as the air gets more humid and humid and humid. You have to take what you fucking have if you watch male VTubers nowadays. Mike, why do you think I'm getting like slowly more viewers? Like I'm noticing that like at least on ASMR and some other streams, I'm like coming up into like 15, 20s. Hello Spectra, thank you so much for the follow. It's very kind of you. It's because as things get worse, more people come to this stream because they're like, well, if I have to go to the bottom of the barrel for VTubers, then well, I guess we go here. It do be projected to get hot tomorrow. Not here, thankfully. Okay. More people come here because this is the bottom of the barrel. Not that I'm a bottom, as Haru likes to claim. Hey yo, diggity dogs. Hello, Ghost Odin. Welcome in, welcome in. How you doing? The heat has been unbearable. It was for a while. Trying to translate Irish history to Spanish. Oh, Marianne, please. I just randomly have Spanish clips. Rua is the barrel. No, I said not. I said not. Are we bottom feeders? You guys are bottom feeders. Just chilling while aliens are invading where you're at. That sounds interesting. You should go talk to them. You should like wave at them. But, I'm tired. My voice is, I can feel it getting weaky. I'm melting. I'm feeling it too. I'm going to raid out. Now, who are we going to raid out into? I don't know. I don't see anyone doing ASMR right now. I want to be a flounder. Me when I cook for a bot. Rest well, thanks for this stream. I do apologize, Odin. I'm sorry you joined like as I was getting ready to end. Cassandra is doing ASMR. Let me see who else is on real quick. Because we might end up raiding into someone who isn't ASMR. Fua's still live, but I think we raided Fua recently, didn't we? Oh, that's weird. Usually when I click on someone's name to like go to raid them, it'll tell you, oh, you've not raided this person in X number of time, or like in 30 days you've raided them this number of times. And now it's not. That's kind of annoying. I liked that little, I liked that. That was good. You know who we'll raid into? We'll raid into that guy, One Little Piranha. He's nice. He's nice. He's a very nice model. Twitch has decided to sabotage. God, it's so dumb. I want to be a clownfish. What are you guys talking about? Be a flounder? You're just talking about being fish? Oh, you're being bottom feeding fish. I see. You mapping out all the bottom feeding fish. Who would I be? Anyway, we're going to raid into... He's a very soft voice, doesn't he? One Little Piranha. If it's his model. It's his model. Oh no, he didn't just stream. I think he just got raided as well. I see. So he gets to have a double raid. Good for him. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. Let me very quickly. I really need to update that because I hate those Twitch symbols. But the sub raid, the subs get the cool raid message. Get some rest, Rua. Yeah, I will. I'll go sleepies, I think. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. Go Rev Mila Magut and Slán Gafol. I might try and stream a little bit more this week because I have 4 days off now. I have some stuff to do tomorrow, but we'll see what we can do. We can see if we can get a few more streams in. But yeah. Whoa, he just... Anonymous gifter. He just got like 20 gift subs? 25. Oh my god. Good for him. I guess we'll raid him. I feel like we're about to... Like, it's going to be like very diminished now. I know who did that. Oh, that's good. Anyway. Go. When are you guys going to drop like 40 gift subs from me, huh? Anyway,